Hey, welcome back. The next series of videos that I'll be shooting on this 2000 GMC will be of the engine removal. It's going to be very boring. A lot of it is done, so I'll have a record on my part of how things go back together. This is the first one, engine removal I've done on this type of a vehicle. So, okay, before I can pull this engine, I need to document where everything is, so I can put it back together. So this is mainly for my benefit, and it'll be pretty boring to watch because I want to try and get everything I can see here on the camera. And I do not go into any detail on how I do not go into, but I hope to later on go into more detail and maybe mention a few of the sockets that I use to take things apart. In actuality, all you really need on most of these is an 8mm, 10mm, 11mm, 13mm, and a 15mm socket. That should be enough to get most of this done. A couple of screwdrivers, pair of pliers, post clamp pliers preferred, and that's about it. This is going to be a little boring to watch, but it needs to be done. So if you want to just fast forward to some other stuff, it's a little more interesting. And I'll just watch. I'll just let the music play in the background, and while I go through the motions here of taking things off and apart, and I'll get back to you in a bit with some more commentary. Miss airflow, and this thing down here, airflow. Sort it off one more up here. Not sure exactly what that is. Anyway, these and this one up here go together. Okay. Finally. Okay. That dripping leak is from the water pump thermostat. A couple bolts holding it in, and I probably could have left those in the thermostat because it is part of the water pump. I was able to get the water pump off. I tried to get the air conditioning compressor off, but there's bolts underneath that I can't get to, so I might have to pull the engine with that. I started on this thing here, whatever it is, some small control device, and it connects right down here. Two bolts that were very, very, very tight to get to. And this bolt here, one underneath here, and then one right here. And I should have this off today. Started a little on the fuel, the coils, pulling them off a little bit. Oh, I got the heater hoses off from here, and the other two went down to here to the water pump and then into the radiator. And speaking of the radiator, it is gone. I got the radiator off today too. I want to look down there. Oh yeah. Okay. Just leaving a few tools up here, looks like. That's to take hose clamps loose. Okay, those bolts are to the AC compressor that I can't get off. I'm going to try and get this power steering pump off. Hopefully I can get over here on this side and get the coil pack off. My ambition is to get this engine tore down enough to where I can see what's going on with the electrical plug-ins on the fuel rails and everything, and get those loose, get the fuel rail off, get the intake off. Then I can get to the transmission bolt on top and the back, if there is one, for the bell housing. And I might be able to get the exhaust flange bolts off way back there with a long extension underneath. If not, I might have to go through the wheel well down here, which I don't want to have to do because I got to take the inner fender off on that. So, like I said though, see if I can get this off today and spill some power steering fluid all over the place. I might take the fluid out if it looks like I can do that. Looks like I got 4 bolts here. I've got one here, one here, one behind a pulley that you can't see. Pulley's good. And one down at the bottom. Probably you can't see either. They look to be 15 millimeter, and they are, I believe, even the bottom one. So I'm going to take these bolts out and see if I can drop this pulley assembly with the power steering pump. Set it down on the frame. Over on this side, before I take the last bolt out of the power steering pump, 2 bolts holding on to 12-volt power supply here from the battery access. I'm going to take these 2 out and then try and set it off to the side. I might have to actually disconnect everything in there to get some more leverage, I don't know. But then I'll go back to this bolt over here. Okay, there was another little bolt goes in right down there. I took it out, and it's a shorty. And that was the power steering bracket that holds the power steering pump. So there's like 2 brackets. Anyway, take this bolt out here, and I think I can lay this aside. While I was underneath and looking for bolts on the power steering pump, I ran across the drip pan, or the skid plate, and I decided to take it loose as well. And here's what's on top of the skid plate. Now back up here, this one bolt should do it. I'll bring you back when I get it out, and maybe the power steering pump can be laid down. By the way, it looks to me like all the bolts in the power steering pump are the same size except for that little one I took out right there. Down here at the bottom in the front where the wiring harness goes, I don't know if you can see that, but The wiring harness wraps around the front of the engine and is held on with a bolt, I believe. Yeah, it's looking a little better. At least I can see the connector right there, or the bolt. I think that's holding that wire loom. And I labeled that sensor plug for the bottom, goes to the bottom of the power steering pump. I just took it for granted when I said it's probably a level sensor. I couldn't figure out what else it would be if it's on the bottom of the power steering pump. I'm going to try and take the coils off this side. They seem to be a little easier, and I didn't bring a few things I needed to lean on over the vehicle here, so I can reach this a lot better, I think. So I'll try that. Get my gloves on and try not to get too dirty. So what I plan on doing is pulling these wires off the coils here, because I can't find my pliers. Oh, come on. To take the spark plugs loose. I got 2 pairs of spark plug wire pliers, and I can't find either one of them right now, so it's in the toolbox somewhere. Take that loose. Come on, there you go, thank you. Bad part about working when it's really cold out, and it's only in the 40s here with the north wind, but the bad part about it is everything is really stiff, and it seems like you could really mess up, move things you don't want to move, and they'll crack. Can I bring a little screwdriver? Trying to take the coil connections loose. There's one. Yeah, I could have just left these alone because I ended up plugging them back in, but I'm kind of confused on this engine a little bit. It's the first time I've done one of these, and kind of feeling my way around it. And next thing you know, I'm taking things loose I could have left plugged in, like these coil packs. But anyway, wonderful practice, I guess. I don't know. Okay. I'm trying to look at the bolts right now. One. I know I'm going to miss one in here somewhere. 2 behind the hose. Wire loom. 3, 4. And there's always one in the back that you can't see. So I'm going to try and get these bolts loose. Or, yeah, nuts off the bolts. And get this coil pack out. This long one here come out of this hole. Actually, I think they're all the same size. I don't know what I'm talking about. Long, I think they're all the same. Well, let's see if I can find the one I missed, if I missed any. Seems to be hung up on. Oh yeah. Okay, this wire loom right there has got me. It's got me. Help me. Help me. It's got me. I'm going to take this vacuum booster hose off right here. Yeah, I broke the stupid connection. And it's just a stupid little clip that holds it on the bottom. See, I'll show you that right there. But I couldn't get to it, pull it out. Okay, come on out of here. At least I got all the bolts on. Oh, anyway. Alrighty, there's one side. Okay, over on this side is pretty much like the other side, only this time I'm going to try and save from breaking a hole down if I can. Need to go get another screwdriver, I think. A pick. There we go. My oh my. Okay, I believe there's like five bolts, like starting here, going all the way back, and one way back there that I can't see. I'm going to get those, see if I can get this coil pack off of here. I'm having to remove this back coil here to get to the bolt, or it holds the whole coil pack on, so. This dipstick's needing to go eventually. I think I'll do it now. Now you can see back there the other bolt that needs to come out right there. And that's why I had to remove the coil. I got involved in the process of taking that coil pack off, and it's so cold out here, I forgot to turn the camera on. But anyway, but what I want to do now is try and get these ejectors loose, or plugs loose, and then see how much of the wiring harness is being held down and how much I can move out of the way so I can get this intake plenum off. Okay, on these fuel injector connections, you have to be really careful and do this with your fingers so you don't break one of these. I pulled this this gray piece out a little further than I needed to, and then you push in on this piece right here. But anyway, this is a lock, and you pull back up on it like that. I think I got it. And then you push in as far as you can on that little tab, and it should pull right on out. Of course, it's not going to do it while I'm putting this on camera. Yeah, my hands are cold, and that hurts. Anyway, that's the idea. I have one or two that actually work really smooth. And then, you know, you got to push in on that little tab right there all the way in. And then I have these that want to fight me. Again, I pulled this out quite a ways. You can see some fight you, some don't, so I'm going to bring you back when I got them all off, and I'm going to go ahead and label some of these so I don't get them confused and put in the back, which I doubt I would, but they seem to be pretty much cut and dried about what goes where, but still, you never know. Wiring harnesses get bent around, so. Well, the right bank is all disconnected. Some were hard, some were easy. I ended up having to pull a lot of these plastic pieces all the way completely out, so when I get the intake out of here, I'll see about putting those back in. I'm going to remove this hose right here. It looks like some sort of a vacuum. Okay, I got injectors loose. Some were easier, some were hard, especially the one way back there, that one right there. Couldn't hardly get to it. Anyway. this is tied down really good too. I guess I should just take the plastic piece off. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. I'll see if this 10 millimeter will come loose. Maybe I can lift this up some. I've got some hoses to take loose, vacuum lines I mean. Back over here. One goes to the rocker cover. And there's a electrical connection way in the back, way back there, going down by the firewall that goes into something. Other firewall. Let me see if I can get to it. Down between the V, there, right behind that V, there's a line that goes down. And I believe it connects to the oil sending unit, but I'm not sure. I'll find out when I get the intake loose. So I'll go ahead and take this loose here and see if I can move this anymore. What it already is. They really did a wonderful job of tying things down. The factory did a great job. I have a couple connections, one here and one right over there. Those need to come loose, and I still haven't gotten to that hose yet, but I will. Moving right along, it's time to do the fuel rail. Relieve the pressure from the fuel rail so that I could take the fuel line and the return line loose. And there wasn't much pressure in it. I didn't think there would be. But I always suggest using a rag over the end of that bleeder valve there if you do this, and wear some safety glasses as well. Anyway, then I come back over here. I did get the PCV valve hose loose from the intake manifold right in the back. You can see that hole back there. That's where it was. And I took these clips here off from the fuel rail. They just pull right off of the fuel rail and then out the front a little bit. But they're there as safety clips. No biggie. Taking those off. Now I'm going to go get a tool to stick in here and take those fuel lines loose from the intake. Okay, there's one fuel line. There's a little fuel left in there. Now I'm going to go to the bottom one. I use my red plastic fuel line tool remover. There's a set of these, different sizes that I use. Anyway, this is the set I use. These come in kind of handy. I'm able to actually push against that flat piece right here and then push the line back. Pretty easy, pretty easy. Alrighty, before I can take this intake off, it looks like I got another hose here, and the one that went to the radiator down here, looks like it's got to come off there. Probably could have left that on the radiator. Oh well, that'll make for confusing stuff. Okay, anyway, documented on camera, hose to radiator. Let me see if I can find the right socket for these bolts. And there looks like there's an equal amount on each side. I can't remember how many. I've taken one of these off before on the engine that came in for the replacement for this one. I counted 5 bolts on the left side over there, and there's 5 bolts on this side here, and the bolts are coming loose. I'm using a 5/16. I believe it's 8 millimeter. I couldn't find it. I left some tools somewhere. Another vehicle. Anyway, 5 bolts here, and the bolts are not coming out. They seem to be staying in there. It looks like it'd take a little force to pull them out. I might have to get a pair of pliers and pull them all out, because I don't think I can lift this thing up high enough to slide it out. I don't know. Find out. I'm going to take these bolts out right down this line here. Okay, I got another bolt right here underneath this hose, which needs to come off, and I think it's loose. Don't know till I pick it up and try it. Okay, she's loose in the front. Don't know what I'm going to encounter in the back till I pull it out. I'm going to try this off camera. If I have any snags, I'll bring you back, but I think I can just lift it up and come forward with it. Okay, this piece here seems to be holding me up. It goes all the way back there. I don't know what it is. I think it's probably has something to do with emissions, but it seems like most everything has to do with that. But I'm going to go ahead and finish taking this bolt out and see if I can pull it out and get it off to the side. Okay, this thing did have O-rings in it, and it turns, or swivels, in that rubber piece there. And it needs to come out of that rubber piece, because I have no way of weaseling it past the fuel sensors, whatever thingy. So, see what I can do here. I don't know why there's a cap on it. Probably check for vacuum, most likely. Well, something tells me this sensor can go back in the hole if I can get the, excuse the light, sorry. If I can get that Houdini clip off of there, probably get this sensor off of here. Needs to, it's replaceable, so that's what that's for. And I know I can weasel this wire here, or line, through there. But I don't think I can weasel this hole. I might be able to control assembly. I'll try it. I'll try and weasel the control assembly through first. Okay, got it out. There it is. Able to weasel the sensor past the spot, and I just hung it back over there, but I gotta figure out how that clip comes loose. Right there. In case I ever need to change that stupid thing. Anyway, it just lifted right out. The bolts stayed with it, which is nice. And I know you want to see this, so there's the garbage on the upper, or below it, the valley plate here, and the 2 NOx sensors there, and then the coolant line, and a few things at the rear need to come off. A oil sensor back there, I believe. And so I will be doing that in a bit. I got to vacuum this area up first. There may be some carnage below this. I'm kind of hoping there isn't, but if there is, it'll be interesting to see. And then I'm going to move on to the exhaust manifolds on both sides, but I don't know if I'll be able to get to those today. I need to get these NOx sensors off, or out, and this plate off, and I need to vacuum this area up, and if I get to one of the exhausts, and this pipe here is a coolant pipe, and it connects to the heads, and it allows the coolant, the air gaps in the heads to come out and then back into the radiator from here. So it's through there and into another tube to the radiator. Anyway, with the thermostat being so far down below the engine block, there could be air pressure or air caught in these cylinders, which would create hot spots. And so this tube is designed to alleviate that. All the bolts look to be the same size. There we go. There should be some O-rings on the end of these. I'll get a screwdriver. Get those out. Okay. I also got to get these covers off. Come on off of there. You can do it. Another screwdriver, I guess.
This engine got very hot evidently because these rubber covers should just pop up and then I should be able to slide them back down the wire, and yet they did not, and they're breaking off at the sensor itself, which is not right. I know from my other engine that I built, when it came in, it had this plate on it, and these covers were able to come right off and then slide back on the wires. So, yeah, seems to be a problem with this this engine. It got really hot, and when things get hot, interesting stuff happens to plastic for sure. That's why I'm fighting you so much.
I'll be getting some new knock sensors anyway. I think I broke both of these, or I'm in the process of doing so. I'll probably get this out of my way right now. Okay. I don't have the right pliers for this, so normally you can just squeeze these and get them off of there, but normally you just squeeze, it sits like this, and you squeeze these ends like this. See, they're just so brittle they break. I think I can get these off of here now. I don't care about anything going in the cylinder heads because I'm not going to be using these, and I'm not going to be using the engine either, so most of the times I'd cover these up, but I'm not going to today. See how much pull we gotta have. Oh, they're not in there very tight.
The valley plate bolts were 10 millimeter.
Okay. Almost. Not quite.
These are 7/8. 7/8 socket piston.
Come on. I hit a snag. I hit a snag. And there you have it. And you can see where I broke the wire out of the inside. And there's the other one. Okay, this plate should come off now. Valley plate. Remember, don't pry on the heads. They are aluminum. Okay, the mystery below. What is below? Will we see carnage? Once I get this up, find out. Alright. There's the plate. Gotta tell you, what I'm looking at don't look good. I don't understand why this plate, yep, lost part of its goody-goody there. That could be what part of the plate I just pulled off. That should have come off. There's the cam, and you can tell it's gone. But other than that, the real carnage is still yet to be found. So, continuing on, I'll clean this up a little bit. Well, not really. See if I can get that off. Yeah, the rubber piece come off in pieces. This engine got really hot. That piece that was laying right here, that was just a piece of plastic from the connection. It fallen down in when I picked the plate up. But you can see that the cam is toast. We knew that probably anyway. Got my strange high lift jack here. Did a video on that. Got my pad, got some tools. I'm gonna go have a picnic under the Yukon XL here and see if I can get an exhaust flange loose. There's the culprit in question right there. I'll be trying a 5/8 first. I believe that's what it is. It's 5/8. Well, I'm back on the other side now. Anyway, where I gotta go is right up in there. I don't know if you can see it, but I've got to use Ryobi impact. It's come to the rescue a few times. So it rescued me on the other side. Now it's got to rescue me on this side because these nuts here, they're only on at 35 or so foot-pounds, but they don't want you to believe it when you try and take them loose, I'll tell you that. Anyway, I'm going to put some Freol on this one and let it soak for a bit before I make a bunch of rattling noise because they don't come off real easy. Anyway, I'll go ahead and get these three off and then bring you back. All down, both sides. Want to get those connections back there with the oil sending unit, pressure unit, and then probably the camshaft sensor, I'm just guessing. These look like plugs. Okay, this is a 13, this is a 10. A couple plugs here, looks like. And it looks like they're bolted to the back of the head here. Can't really tell. I'm having a lot of trouble reaching back in here, and I got long arms, so what I'm trying to do though, this was disconnect this connector, but it is unplugged. I'm gonna have to be careful and see what's connected to this head in the back here when I go to pull this engine. I'm going for the exhaust manifold on this driver's side. There's 6 bolts. Let's start with that sensor so I don't forget it. I gave them all a dose of Freol. That's my go-to stuff. I really like it. Anyway, I'm going to keep going with this and 10 millimeter and long handle wrench with a swivel head. And a little at a time. I've got most all of them off except for these last 2. I think I got lucky because there's nothing but a hole in the back, where one used to be, way in the back there. And so far, I know you're all wondering, and I'll tell you, as far as I know, I have not broken a bolt yet. We'll find out when I take this out. Instead of having 6, I should have 5. So I'm going to keep going with this, and you'll get to see when I get done with this side. I want to show you how close I am. Watch when I push down on the manifold. Well, now that I got that stuck, I'm going to have to take the steering column loose at that bolt right there. Tied my steering wheel up with the seat belt. Seat belt would not plug in because the seat's too far back and there's no battery. So I just tied it. All it is to keep that from moving around. That bolt takes a 15 millimeter. Anyway, that is the bolt. Nut stays on the back of that. It goes over the column. Now, supposedly, the column should just give me a break here and slide down a little ways. I'm having way too much trouble trying to compress it right up here. I got it to go down just a little bit, but not enough. And it's hard to get to. So I'm going to go ahead and take it loose at the bottom down here. Slide it off with the steering gear. If you needed a new intermediate shaft, this would be a good time to replace it. There's the bolt, what it looks like, just your ordinary bolt. It's, by the way, it's an 11, not a 10, but an 11. And the bottom portion of that hole there is threaded, so the bolt just screws right in. And there's a flat side on the shaft to help with reinstallation. And there she is. Remind me to put this back on. Okay, I'm able to move the shaft completely out of the way now. Let's see if that manifold will come out. need both hands, so just pulled right out. Just as easy as buttering toast with soft butter. And now I can get down in here to assess those motor mounts down there and get some more working room. Okay, moving right along. I wonder what's going to happen over on this side. I've got the AC over there and all that good stuff. Well, compared to the other side, this side was a piece of cake. That back bolt is the hardest one to get to as far as reaching, but I was able to put this type of wrench on it for a long handle, short socket, and weasel over the stupid spark plugs that I can't get out, wires that I can't get off, I mean. So this came out very easily, and there she is. Now it's time to go underneath. Now is the time to take the starter off, I believe. I can get down in there. If the fender, inner fender liner was off, it'd be a little easier. Anyway, this heat shield's got to come off, and sort of just pulls off. You get a look at the stuff. It has to come off first. Of course, there's no battery in it, but this little wire in this nut here, and then the main connector there. Not sure what size they are, but I'll find out. Pull the exhaust off. Forgot to get the gasket, so there we go. Been having a little luck with the screwdriver, the back side of these spark plugs. And I'm just wasting time at the moment. It's not important. What is important is figuring out what size socket these are. Okay, it looks like a 13. Let me try something different. Little one is a 10. Okay, the big nut is a 13. Box-end wrench I would recommend, which I left my box-end wrenches in another spot, so I don't have those, so I had to improvise. And I broke it loose with this, so if yours are all rusted up, I feel for you. All right, there we go. Tension on the cable is doing that. Connections are loose. Okay, there's the two starter bolts. They're 13. I'm gonna have to take my impact to them. Over there's the inspection cover where I can probably get the torque converter away from the flex plate. Loosening that plate right there seemed to help loosen the starter up some. 10mm bolt goes right in there. Once that plastic plate comes out, it seems to be plastic, that starter's ready to fall right down on my hands right now, or on my head. Either way, I want to get it out. Okay, I got a few more connections going on up in there. That one there, and then of course I got to get that one off too. And this wiring harness is also connected to the front of the oil pan, I noticed, so that's got to come off. There's a little peek up into the flywheel and the torque converter. I got to roll it around to take the torque converter bolts loose. I rolled the engine around to where I can believe I can get to the First of what I believe to be 3, and they're hex head bolts. This is what I'm looking at for the transmission bolts. These are what they look like. They're 8mm hex inside. And you have to have the wrench just exactly up in there with the socket. Now I could put an extension on it, but then I'd lose my force. So far I've not had to been able to brace the flywheel to keep it from turning, but I don't know that I'm going to get that lucky again. This is number 2. Yeah, I'm back up front now. The flywheel bolts are out. Did not have to hold the flywheel. I'm taking this wiring harness loose from the front of the oil pan. And you can see the socket that I have on there is a 10mm. And over on the other side over here in the dark. This end just slides off the mount. It has a plastic pin built into it, and it pulls back and slides off. I got my lifting plate almost on, 2 more bolts to go. And then I have the motor mount bolts, and then the 7 bell housing bolts. I might try and get the AC off, either when I lift it up, or maybe I'll make another attempt at it before I do the engine lift out. I'm trying to work on top here and save from having to go underneath and lower the transmission and try and put a little 2-foot extension on to get these top transmission bell housing bolts away from the engine. But anyway, here's what I got going. To get the top one, I'm able to reach in and do this. But I had to put 2 inches together because there's not enough. I've got a 15mm ratchet type, something like that, of the swivel. And I left my long ones at home, so I got a short one on there, and I had to use this long offset wrench as a leverage tool to get in there to break it loose. Once it comes loose, you can unscrew it finger tight, but it's like, I think, 40-some foot-pounds on there, and it's really quite on there tight. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take that out. Okay, there it is. I did hit it with some Freol beforehand, but I don't think it did all that much good. Anyway, that's the top one, goes right there. I'm going to start down this side over here because I got some longer wrenches. I'm going to try and reach back over there with them later, but I'm going to see if I can get this side over here for right now. The transmission jack is positioned under there. I don't really need it under there right now, but I didn't have any place else to put it, so I have, let's see, another bolt back up in there to get on this side. The dipstick tube bolt, very difficult to get to. And then I got to go back over to that side and get the other bolts. Dipstick tube is keeping me from getting to the transmission bolt, and I don't want to pull the dipstick tube. Those things are very problematic, including you could break the end of it off into the transmission. So by wiggling it, try to get it out. So what I want to do is pull that brace, or whatever it is, a brace, and try and get it out of the way, and then push the tube over a little ways so I can get a socket or a box end wrench on that nut. Okay, I've got it pried back a little bit, but it really needs to come up. So I'm going to clear that bolt. So I'm going to try the wiggle technique. I soaked it in some Freol down below where it meets the transmission. Okay, I think I got it a little bit. I think I got it. Yeah, shooting way down there, right over the top of that spark plug. I can see that it has pulled up a little. Well, there it is. I might be able to get a box end or a socket on it now. Okay, I'm going to pull the inner fender off. I didn't want to, but it's just in my way. Okay, the fender is off. I was able to get that top nut or bolt by the transmission dipstick. I did break a few of the smaller push-in connectors, but I did manage to save those. It was on this side right here. These things can go back in. They're a different type, and by this inner fender being off, there's just so much room in there. I was able to get the other bolt out of the transmission where it held the dipstick on. And I do recommend, for what little time it'll take you to take this inner fender off, and of course this little brace for the running board, it'll save you a whole bunch of time in the long run. Look at, you can even get to the exhaust sensor down there. You can get to lots of stuff here. So yeah, inner fenders, I would take those off. Just my recommendation. Now I stripped a lug nut over on the other side, the left side. First time in my life I ever stripped one of those, but some idiot put those on at like probably 200 pounds. I don't know, they're on way more tight than they should be, I'm sure. Anyway, now I got to get a socket to take the nut off that I rounded off. I didn't strip it, I just rounded the nut off. So it's on the other side. I'll probably end up taking a picture of that when I go to take it out. Oh, okay, couldn't resist. There's the nut. Okay, I got the tire off after I got that strip lug nut off, and I'll put that in a different video how I got that out. Off. And now I'm starting on this fender well. As soon as I get it loose, then it'll give me a bunch more room in there. Starting over here first, getting these screws out. Okay, I got the fender well plastic outer fender off, and I can get to a lot more things here. I think the bushings look okay, considering the miles, but I still can't quite see that bolt. So, just gonna have to keep plugging away at it and see what I can do. Okay, I'm gonna have to drop this transmission down so I can get to those top bolts. I fought them and fought them and fought them up there behind that intake manifold, and I decided to maybe fight something else for a while. So anyway, what I've done is I've had to remove the skid plate that was over the transmission right there. Attaches right up in there. Those 4 shiny spots. And I've removed over on that side all the bolts but one, so there's only 2. And then on this side I've removed 1, and I'm in the process of getting this last one out. I got to punch it out. They come out pretty easily. I put some Freol on them. It's just manual labor having to work the ratchet. Of course, if you got an air wrench and a swivel, you can probably get in there pretty good. I don't know. Anyway, got the transmission jack supporting the transmission supposedly. Find out in a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the bolts on this side here, and I'm going to go over on the other side and I'll remove that last bolt. Then I'm going to see if this thing will come down, because oh yeah, and inside the hole here there was 2 bolts for me. This is a 2000 Yukon. Not bolts, but 2 nuts on two studs coming from the back support on the transmission back there. So I will be, the transmission is loose. So I'm thinking when I lower this over here, and all the bolts are out. This frame piece support should come out. We'll find out, won't we? So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and do this, and then I'll go over there. Well, the second bolt is stuck. This bolt is stuck. This is fairly loose. It's holding up on this somehow. But what I'll do is go ahead and loosen the other side and see if the whole thing will drop down. Maybe this will loosen up, take the bolt out, and maybe I don't even need to take the bolt out. We'll find out. Find out in a minute. Well, almost got it on camera. I had no trouble getting this bolt out at all. And the minute I got it out, I just turned the camera on. This whole crossbeam just fell. Kaboom. Kablooey. So, that's good news because I don't have to take that bolt out. I just have to try and put it back in later. And you can see the two mounts for the transmission right there. Yeah, there they are. Okay. I'm going to still try and get that bolt out if I can, but just to get that piece out of my way if I can, but I don't know. If I get it out, I'll let you know. If not, it'll just stay there because the bolts I need to remove on the transmission are on this side. I'm still fighting the upper bolts on the transmission to the engine block, and I'm going to try and go with 15 miles of extensions here. See if I can get to it from underneath, just about the way the book recommends. I do have the transmission lowered a little bit. Well, I'm back up on top, and I'm going to take this head off because I just cannot see anything back there. Now, whether or not I'll be able to get anything at all done, even when I take the head off, I don't know, but at least I'll have more visual room to see what's going on, because when I put the other engine in, the heads are going to be on it. Starting with the head, these are 8 millimeters on the rocker cover. This stuff is all loose. Cover's off, the bolts stay right with the cover. These rocker bolts are 8 millimeter as well. I'm just going to loosen them up, set them to the side, pull the push rods out. Okay, I just grabbed the little end of it here and pull it up, put my magnet on it. And there's one. Don't really care to keep track of the order of these because I'm not going to be using them. Just a pair of pliers, magnet, whatever you got. Probably get hold of them if you got a small magnet. Okay, I need to take this whole rocker arm rail completely out so I can get to the head bolts. They're just barely back underneath it, right in there, and just can hardly see them. I did a video on the head tightening sequence for these bolts, and so I'm not taking these out in order, but you'll see where they're placed if you check that video out on the engine that I refreshed that's going in. Once the rockers are off, you can just take this plate, these bolts take a 10 millimeter socket, and the big head bolts take a 15 millimeter socket. Okay, I've got all the small bolts out. Took a 10 millimeter socket, of course. And I've loosened up all of the head bolts. One other thing I wanted to say is when I get all these bolts out, I'm going to rock it a little bit with maybe a end of a hammer handle and one of the ports here. And that should get it off the dowel pins that are in the engine. Well, she's loose. She kind of slid down. The one bolt in the back, way there in the back. Anyway, that bolt in the back wouldn't come out because the firewall's in the way. So now it's slid down. I gotta figure out how to slide the head forward maybe. And okay, she's out. Came right out the front here. Once I remember to remove that rear bolt because it was hanging up. I got some, looks like where the valve was hitting that piston there. So maybe that piston's the one that threw the rod. I just don't know yet. That one looks okay, number 3. 5 is fine. And 7 looks okay too. Now I'm able to see the bracket that's holding the fuel rail or lines on the transmission bell housing there, and transmission bolts. At least I can see it now. I couldn't see it before, and I did not want to strip that bolt back there. It's just really hard to see. That cardboard is keeping these electrical lines pushed away from my work area back there. Okay, let's go look at the head. Probably see where that valve there has been hitting. Other than that, everything looks all right. Okay, I'm back on that bolt again at the top of the transmission that you can't get to. I'm using this wrench right here. I don't know where I got this thing. Probably a yard sale. Bought some tools that was with it. Anyway, there's the brand name, if you can read that. And it's a plug wrench, of all things. But see how it's offset. And you can get into that firewall. You can get away from that firewall. I could see better. And able to see better, I was able to down in there. Still can't get out of there. Can't even retrieve the nut with a magnet. Yes, I got it off. I certainly did. Did I get it? There it is. There it is. That's what was holding up a lot of the progress. Because now what I want to do is get to that top bolt with another socket and wrench. Alright, I was able to get that bolt out of the transy right there after I got the nut off it. The bolt come right out of the transmission. It was already loose. That little nut was so tight that when I broke it loose, it actually broke. It didn't break loose. The big bolt in the transmission broke. Moving on. There's another bolt right down here at the top, right in there. And I took it out, and it came out fairly easy as well. I just used a very long, flexible wrench. I'll show you those in a minute. And there's another bolt down there I got to get, and then I think there might be a plate on this side of the transmission I got to take off. A couple little bolts right down there maybe. I lowered the transmission down a little bit as far as it wanted to go. I put 1, 2, 3, 4 wobble extensions on, and then a regular deep well 15. So anyway, there's the bolt. I don't know if you can see it or not. Yeah, barely. It's out. I mean, it's loose. I haven't got it out. Should fall out. But you can see everything that is in the way of this. So I just, went over the top, around the top of the sensor here at the back of the exhaust. So there's a lot to be said for wobble extensions too. And there's what I used. And there's the bolt. Okay, I got the motor mounts out on both sides. The bolts to the motor mounts. That's what they look like. Both sides. Passenger side The right side's easier to get to than the driver's side, the left side, I'd say that. I used a 1/2 inch long extension. This one right here. A very long 1/2 inch ratchet that I've had a bazillion years. No idea where it came from. And I use a 15 swivel socket with their 3/8, so I needed the 1/2 inch adapter. So the next video, I'm going to use that crane over there, and I'm going to see if I can pull this engine out. If I find anything else that I forgot to take loose under there, and I know there's a sensor somewhere on this side with a big wire going to it, just couldn't get to it. Didn't want to try. I can lift the engine up, maybe I can get to it easier. So